Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the pre-market analysis that we open up to YouTube every single Wednesday. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown of what's going to happen this morning before I pass it along to Beth. Basically, after I'm done speaking, Beth will come on, give you a breakdown of the macro environment, what she sees from that standpoint, any thing that makes sense to be looking at from a bigger picture macro standpoint as well. She'll be checking out. After that's done, I'm going to come on. We're going to go through the names that are gapping up, gapping down. We'll talk about the news associated with those gap up, gap downs. We'll go through the technicals on those charts, build a little bit of an action plan, as well as go to the SPY and the FANG. After that's done, Selpeach will come on. He'll go through the macro environment, any analyst calls that he's looking at for today. Then we'll do a quick little recap of those names that are gapping up, gapping down on the SPY and the FANG, and we'll be ready for the open. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass over to Beth, and I'll talk to you guys shortly.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. Welcome. Pre-market here, Wednesday morning at Spartan Trading. Welcome to those of you joining us on our live YouTube stream. Fun. This week is fantastic, obviously, with all the earnings and stuff like that. Plus, you layer on top of that the FOMC Powell. We got the president tonight doing his presidential address. Crazy stuff. All right, I do want to go back to this conference board number from yesterday. 121.7. Here's the histogram on that, as you can see. So it's just really fantastic what's going on here in terms of the economic tailwind that we have. The question is going to be, and there have been a few economists who are coming on saying that, the Fed has to kind of take their foot off the accelerator in terms of this quantitative easing. I want to see what Powell says in the minutes say today, because I'm sure it's being discussed, right? Because do we really need a stimulus right now in terms of with all the quantitative easing, in addition to what the president and administration is trying to proffer in terms of spending. Going to be interesting. I think there's going to be fireworks today with this meeting. Not so much that they're going to say that we're not going to do this or that, but basically starting to guide and say, okay, this is what we're looking at. This may cause us to basically, shorten the duration of the quantitative easing. Right? So that's my story. Sticking to it. It's a good story. All right. Actually, I apologize. Let's go back here in terms of what data coming out. Oh, we also had this build on, like I said, this API, whatever. It's a random walk theory. You can basically take a dart and throw it against a dartboard and have as much success figuring that stuff out. Consumer confidence in Germany really was much worse than expected. That kind of got my attention for sure, right? And then we have goods, wholesale inventories, EIA, yada, yada, yada. And then, of course, obviously, the 2 o'clock Fed interest rates and the Q&A after that. Okay. Let's see what our gal's up. She had a busy day yesterday, guys. Very busy day. She was buying JD, right? All kinds of stuff. She was selling. She was buying all kinds of stuff. She continues to buy, and this is important. She had been selling Tencent for multiple weeks, right? Almost a month plus. Now she's starting to buy JD. She's starting to buy PDD, Tencent. You can see here there's no right? Selling Roku. Silvergate, this is actually a crypto trade, right? And I think what's going to happen is she's going to replace it, and she is starting to replace it, I think, in all the different accounts with coin is what I think is going to happen. Okay. Let's talk about my man, Tom Lee. I love this dude. I mean, he anything deal with digits, it's got my attention. Okay, but he uses the word rejuvenation. Who uses that? Okay. Demand surprise. Anyways, I encourage you guys to read that, watch this. He's just so articulate, and I just love what he has to say. Plus, I agree with him. So, what can you say? All right, Wall Street Journal has a Fed statement tracker. Let's see what they change, if anything, in the verbiage. Recovery type stuff, inflation, anything that will catch our attention. It will be crossed out from the red from the previous one, and then the green will be from this statement. Let's take a peek here. You got it. Today, tomorrow. Oh my goodness gracious. This is the volatility. Right? Yeah. And then you can see here, we have upgrades, we have downgrades, yada, yada, yada. It's just so much fun. We have initiations. I love this time of year. I really do. It's going to be super cool. All right, so what's going on? Here's the earnings whispers. And as you can see here, we have a preponderance of surprises. The vast majority is green. It's actually, this is tracking around 85, 90%. Isn't that crazy? All these beats going on, fantastic. And then obviously it's going to basically, I love the Shopify. I'm so happy with that. I'm in that Shopify. So, all right, let's talk about Google. I don't bring out this word very often, but those of you who are British understand where I'm coming from. Google's earnings, I was absolutely positively gobsmacked over. Okay, fantastic, amazing, love it, love it, love it. So, like I say, everybody's beating, very few disappointments. Well, Boeing, but anyways. And let's take a look in terms of insider transactions, because this is what I really like to see as well. Who's buying, who's selling, rain, multiple buys, 10% holder, yeah, cool, $19 million, 2.1 million, right? And then Untitled. So I prefer to look at these on the commodity side to see who's buying and selling. But this actually can be quite informative in terms of on the buyer, biggie buyer side, etc. All right, let's actually put things to, and this is why I have to say, Spartan is brilliant. And the reason why I say Spartan is brilliant because he continues to make money for this room day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out, right? But if you look in terms of what's going on for other traders, they're saying that's the worst year ever for trading. Okay, don't short it on market, don't short it on market, don't short, well, you know the idea. So going back to 1995, right? S&P SPY after multiple non-holiday tight range, low volume, new highs. Well, it's bullish, but 0.7%. Come on, we want more than that. Anyways, let's get down to the actual digits here. What's going on here? Nothing worked. It's been best to just say, and this guy's is a, look, Spartan's a master technician. He's the best of the best, right? This shows you that if you follow these indicators, you would not be making money. If you bought and hold, you'd be making 13%, right? This is crazy. Bollinger Bands, 5.3. Everything else, look at this. MACD, RSI, oscillator statistics. I mean, crazy, right? Fear and greed, you'd be losing money, right? Simple MA, cumulative distribution, weighted MA, not good. Not a great year to trade in and out, right? Okay. S&P 500 after 7 or fewer winning trades, trading strategies through April. 1 month out, 1.3%, 86%, 1 week out, 0.6%. 6 months out, 2.1%, and then you go out 1 year. Okay. And this is why when we're in this sort of a market, guys, you know, I'm all about long-term, you know, action plans, my narratives, what I've got thinking in my head. Okay. Right now, 2021 is the technician's market. Okay. And it just goes to show if you're not good on the technical side in terms of charting, you're pretty much lost. Okay. Worst underperformance ever in 25 years. What do you think about that? Going back to 1997. Crazy, right? S&P 500 after trade strategies underperformed by greater than minus 10% through April. Bearish. 80%, 1 month out, 3.1%. Farther out, positive. I just think it's super cool. All right. Let's take a look at what's going on in the ranking charts. Volatility, money flows. You don't see that often. Money coming out of healthcare. You know, it's really hard every day to see the continuation theme. Okay, that's really what we're looking for. Spartan finds the momentum within like the first half hour, sometimes sooner than that. And a lot of times it's not an all-day event, but that first couple hours he finds it for us, and then we just sit on our hands as it starts to get sloppy, choppy. Spain, top. U.S., middle. Okay, this is a tailwind, right? We got a little bit of headwind though in some of these, like financials, home builders, retail, right? On the other side, utilities, what you would expect, right, with what we've been seeing. Okay, and you know, it's fun and yada yada yada. But you can see here, sloppy choppy, right? Most was down, right? Everything was up. The day before was down for the most part. Energy was up, financials were up, XLI was up, right? XLE, utilities down. So it was sloppy choppy, dividends and yada, yada, yada. Okay. UPS, top dog, LFG. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the commodities. Gold's down, okay. Crude's up, natural gas is up, yada, yada. Aluminum is down. Zinc, lead, nickel, copper is down, right? Nickel's up. This is the, would be battery, lithium, EV type stuff. Wheat is down. So we're seeing a lot on the CRB on style of consumer commodities, right? Corn, soybeans, cotton, et cetera, sugar. All of them coming in a little bit. It's on a torrid pace, guys. Lumber, torrid pace, all right? This is going to filter its way. We're seeing it with the housing prices. We're going to see that, all kinds of stuff. Inflation is coming, okay? The question is going to be is how fast? Is it going to be elasticity snap sort of thing? Or is the Fed, and this is going to be really hard, let's see what they do, is going to be able to maintain it at a steady pace. I don't think they can do it, but hey, what do I know? All right, 10-year, been telling you, this is bottom of the range, check, check. This is the top of the range, check, 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 check. We're almost, I think we're in the mid. I think we stay in here for a while though. Okay, I just don't say anything. We still have those TLT puts on for today. Let's see if we can get paid a little bit on that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And as you can see here, interest rates slightly higher in the US, except for the 2-year. Canada, higher. All of Europe is up, up, up. Wow. France, 10-year, 15. God bless. I just can't believe that. It's just crazy. Every day, it's like 3+. I mean, this is 4 figures. Wow. UK up, Spain up, Italy up, Germany. Yeah, you know that my theme is basically in going into Europe. We're in Fez right now. I'm also gonna focus on what's going on with China, some of the names, because we're starting to see some money flowing into it. I'm in Deutsche Bank, you know that. I'm in Barclays, yada, yada, yada. Right? Japan down, Australia up, Hong Kong down. Bang, what's going on? Nothing. Crazy. I know, but look, it's nothing. We're just sitting around. We should, well, we'll find out with Apple and Amazon, right? We should break this down trend line. I mean, Google's doing everything it can to get this thing going, right? Let's see if we can break the top. Then we get some nice room, guys. Beautiful. It'll start to cool. This is my inclination, obviously, this is what's going to happen. Obviously, if we break down here, then yikes, this is what's going to happen. Okay. We'll probably get to the 50. I don't want to see that, but it could happen. And the reason why I say this is because, you know, I'm back all in on small caps and maybe money rotates out. I don't know, but crazy. All right, the reason why I have XLC up, guys, is this is a rarity that you have to be aware of, this thing being up 2%, something like that. Pre-market, and that's all compliments of Google, right? I just wanted to bring it to your attention because I find it super cool because it really happens, right? And this we're opening up higher, as you can imagine, right? And this should start to, as the break here, we should start to go up to here. I'm looking for at least 2.5%, but I have higher thought. I think we're going to get in the 90s, mid 90s very fast. Okay, if Facebook has, you know, this is Facebook and Google, basically, XLC, right? So you have to be aware of that, right? And we'll see how it plays out. Okay, let's talk about what was flowing yesterday. A lot of fun stuff. The narrative is still the same. When I see small, mid cap, micro cap stocks, option sweeping, we're going to follow it. It's really paying us quite nicely. AMD, it's had a ton of sweeps coming in, and this is what it does. This we should see with upgrades and stuff like that, more money coming in. Yesterday, MasterCard, but AMD was, that's what got my attention. Tesla, I don't know about this, guys. I really don't. I mean, you know, I'm kind of neutral, as a lot of the analysts are right now, in terms of, not that they cooked the books, but, you know, some of the stuff they did. Anyways, Mosaic, we followed this one, right? Microsoft, ouch. That's all I have to say. $4.4 million worth of ouch. Let's see if Apple can come through, right? So we had CCIV, Viacom, we're in this, VIPs, you know, I'm in this as well. But what I wanted to show you was this. EEM hasn't swept in a long time, and it did multiple times. That got my attention. We followed this trade, okay? Let's look at Baidu. It swept multiple times, got my attention. I posted in the room. I said, look at Baidu, right? JD, I posted it right away. Look at JD. Spartan got us into JD, okay? Now, the question is going to be, and this is why we're going to focus on this, is we're starting to see money coming into BABA, right? May, leaps, stuff like that. Let's see if this is going, and to be honest with you, we do need BABA to start rallying in order for China to kind of reclaim its glory, but okay? So EEM, let's take a peek at this, monthly. Will it break? It's right at the breakout level, notable. If it does, then it can push to all-time highs, 58.32. Chinese yuan has to stay stable. It is staying stable. It is starting to go to the lower end of this quadrant. If it starts to break, you will see money flowing into China. QQQ, CQQ. So this is the tech, our tech versus the Chinese tech. So our tech has been outperforming, this is monthly, since the slow we had in February, right? It's getting to the top end of this range, and actually there's an extension right here for us to look at. Boom, right into it, okay? So this, we want it to break back down into this range, and then when that happens, bullish for China, okay? Here's CQQ in and of itself. You see here, it held up fine. Lower end of the range, starting to go back up. I still think it remains range bound, but if you look in terms of the range in this, guys, it can be rather robust. If we go all the way back up here, you're talking 26%, even if we can go right here, 15%. Pretty cool. K-Web, this is a China internet. This is the weekly sideways consolidation pattern. We have potential for monthly breakout, multi-month breakout. Notable with watching. Reversion to the mean, this is the mid, right? With the 21 Bollinger, okay, notable. We'll keep an eye on that, right? So these are the things that we need to see for us to get a tailwind and not just a one-day event in China. FXI K-Web, sideways consolidation. We want FXY, right? It's starting to outperform K-Web. FXI in and of itself, sideways consolidation. It held up where it needed to hold up. Let's see if we can start to rally, break this monthly downtrend line. A shares. This is the MSCI. This is what they use in terms of the exposure to China. Okay, A2, basically triple bottom here, right? Monthly. Let's see if we can start to rally and start to reclaim some of these resistance levels. MCHI. This is this has the highest proponents of Tencent. This is Baba, Meituan. They all have a lot of it, but this is the one that I'm in because it was cheapy. And starting to bounce off of this uptrend line. Let's see if it can continue on. Baba. Wow. Okay, so as you can see here, somebody doesn't want Baba breaking out. Someone's pinning it down. I mean, you don't get this sort of price action, guys, unless somebody's, you know, pinning it down. I think it breaks higher. But, you know, it's technicals, right? We're at the top end of the range here. Let's say if we can break, if we can, then we have a, you know, price move up to here, which would be 243.96, yada, yada. Okay. Baba FXI, sideways consolidation here, falling back down to the mean. Baba was outperforming FXI. Now it's starting to come back down. Baba JD, sideways consolidation. Baba was outperforming JD. Now it's starting to come back down. Okay, so I expect it to roll over and continue to go lower. Baba Baidu, look at this. okay, right at the top end of the range, right? If we break and hold, then the next level up is 1.27. Okay, so that's around 15% outperformance, almost 17%, right? That happens. Okay, now I also want to introduce you to something kind of super cool, is that when looking at Bitcoin, they were looking at LTC as the guidance in terms of how to trade Bitcoin. I don't know if it's true, but okay, so this is what this looks like. Okay, so basically, but it's the same thing, right? So why would you want to overlay it? So I said, okay, what does the spread actually look like, right? And as you can see here, you know, it's okay, but I guess this is a cleaner chart on Litecoin. I'm just saying, right? As opposed to this, had a false breakout on the downside. This would have saved you some money because this did not break, right? The uptrend line, and you would still be holding it. So I guess this is something to talk about, right? This is Bitcoin. This is LTC. Just a saying, right? All right, let's take a look at the VIX. Let's see what's going on here right now. As you can see, it's actually fascinating. It's getting pinned below some of these EMAs. I don't think there's anything here, but I continue to say it's a red flag divergence, but I don't have any problem with it. And, you know, I just don't, because somewhere along the line, as we make all-time highs, you would think that some sort of hedging would be put on, right? That's what you would expect, but, you know, we shall see. All right, let's take a look at XLK. And the reason why we're looking at XLK is for obvious reasons. One of them clearly is Microsoft, right? That's one of the components. All right, so for those of you who aren't familiar with, all you have to do is go to ETF.com, right? See what the components are of these different sector ETFs. And you can see right here, Apple, Microsoft, okay, Visa. But basically, XLK is 40%. It's just like XLC is 40%, Facebook and Google. Same thing with XLK, Apple and Microsoft. Right? So if Apple has a poor showing, right? I mean, the XLK is down almost 0.7%, and that's strictly a function of Microsoft. So this can be an appropriate hedge for your portfolio if you are so inclined. Okay, and that's what I wanted to bring to your attention. Right? Okay, so here we are, XLK. We basically made an all-time high this month, right? The question is going to be is what kind of pullback are we going to have? It's at the top end of the Bollinger. My concern is that we do something like this, that we have basically the sideways consolidative pattern, okay? Apple will definitely decide that one way or the other, okay? My time is up. Welcome once again to those of you who are joining us for our pre-market here. We do this every morning. It's SpartanTrading.com. It's time for me to pass it over to the boss. Are you ready, sir?
I just need another minute here, Beth, please.
Not a problem. All right, so like I say, now let's take a peek here. And what we're going to do is XLK. Actually, I want to do something different. I want to do XLK Apple. All right, so XLK. All you have to do, this is why I love TradingView. It's so freaking easy, you know? So be Apple divided by XLK. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is the relationship between Apple and XLK, okay? As you can see here, Apple has been weakening against XLK, right? What's gonna happen, this will be a meaningful, you know, it's interesting because I really don't see, well, actually I do see something right here. Let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, so we have an extension going back to 2013. All right, so we got a little bit of a double top here on the monthly. So the question is going to be, is Apple going to regain strength against XLK? All right. this is pretty important, I think, in terms of the market as a whole, whether we're going to see some sort of fade rejuvenation, stuff like that, or whether it's going to continue to see money flowing out into valuation, stocks that got the shit beat out of them sort of thing, right? So the pivot right here, very obvious to see this double top, right? And this is going to be, for me, a big deal, right? So if we basically pop this top, this is notable, then we can start to see it starting to Apple outperform XLK, right? And you can see right here, 6.37%. That's a lot, right? So keep an eye on this with the earnings today with Apple. I think it's going to, it should break higher, but I'm not, I'm not 100, I don't have a lot of conviction in this one, guys. So I'm just going to watch this, see how it plays out. If we do break this multi-year pivot extension, it obviously will have my attention, right? And that would mean that we're basically going to be doing this right here. Retracing, put the fibs in, right? We've already broken below 23.6%, then you can see here. I suspect if it did break down, we would have this sort of a move, guys. So if we have that sort of a move, right, on price range, going from here down to here, you're looking at Apple 8% decline against XLK. So this is a potential big deal. Okay, I just want to bring that to your attention. And this is why these ratios are so important. And this is why I go over them frequently, is so you have to understand, where the strength is and weakness lies in the individual tickers. Because if you look at, as I showed you earlier, if you look at the actual indices, you'd be losing money. But if you look at the individual tickers, equities, then you would be making money based off of the technicals, right? And this is just basically where relationship technicals. That's all this is. Okay. Let's take a look at Facebook because we do have it, but I want to look at Facebook as a component of XLC, right? Right. So here we have Facebook has been outperforming XLC, right? If you see here since February 2021, we have a little topping here, right? And to be honest with you, what does this mean? It's basically Facebook and Google. Right. So let's see. Do I have one on Facebook and Google? Let's see. Google. No. All right. So let's do it. Let's see what Facebook looks like. So wait, Google divided by Facebook. Let's take a peek. All right. Okay. So Google has been, as you can see here, outperforming Facebook since August of 2020. Okay. So what does this mean? With Google's announcement, let's see if we actually, and this will be a multi-month, multi-year breakout, guys, and you know how powerful those are. All right. So what is that telling us? That would tell us you want to be long Google and you want to be short, okay, the Facebook. A big deal. Keep an eye on this. Because if this does start to happen, right, then you're basically looking at these levels right here, a very fast move up to here. Right? So what does that mean? That means, okay, that if we do break this, Google will outperform Facebook by 48.8%. And that would be Google going up, Facebook going down, Google going down, but Facebook going down a hell of a lot more. But you can see here, these are powerful things, and you can make a lot of money off of this stuff.
All right, Beth, I'm ready to come back on.
Okie dokie.
I'm ready, guys. Morning. What's going on? Let's just pop up the screen share here. There we go. All righty. So let's take a look at what we got going on today, guys. If you're new to the Discord, make sure to go to your email, click the Discord link, and then take a look at the when you do come in disclaimer section, as well as this new to chat information. You can scroll to the top and read from the top down. All right, pre-market tickers on watch. What do we got going on today? A couple different things. Shop, Microsoft, Spot, Visa, AMD, pins, a lot of stuff on earnings release. Shop earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 110.3%. Stocks gapping up on that. Microsoft earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 19.1%. Q4 guidance slight raise, bought into. Spot earnings beat, EPS and revs in line, year-over-year growth 27%. Visa earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth negative 2.1%. Stocks gapping up. AMD earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 92.9%. Q2 guidance raised. 2021 guidance raised, stocks gapping up. And then PINS earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 78.4%. Q2 guidance raised, stocks gapping down. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So first two we'll be looking at are Shop and Microsoft. All righty. So Shop, stocks gapping up. Let's see what this thing's got room to today. Bad looking chart. All righty. 1206.37 will be the pivot point to the upside today, but it's a pivot point, just a major support or resistance level between other support or resistance levels near the price. That's why I use it. So it's not a pivot point indicator. That's just the way that I do pivots. 1206.37 is that level today. This level's able to hold. We got room for continuation towards 1228.07 to the 1248.96 resistance. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 1281.52. And then into the 1168.06 level on the downside. Overall on Shop, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher if this pivot point can hold. So that is Shop. Let's take a look at Microsoft. So stock gapping down after earnings released. Big run up in earnings. So maybe some profit taking, or not as big of a beat as the street expected, I guess. Definitely an interesting chart. Okay. So 255.58 is going to be the pivot to the upside today on Microsoft. This level is able to hold. We do have room towards 259.14 to 261.50 on the upside. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards the 252 area to 247 on the downside. Overall on Microsoft, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher if that pivot can be reclaimed and held. Pretty decent bounce so far this morning. We'll see if it's able to continue to bounce, if we can get above that pivot. If so, and I do think we can grind higher. We'll see what happens though. That's Shop, that's Microsoft. Let's take a look at the next two names. All right, next two, Spot and Visa. 254.23. Okay. 270.60 guys, pivot to the downside today. This level is unable to hold. We have room towards 259.24. If that level breaks, we can see further continuation lower into the 254.23 support. Able to hold, look for a push back towards 280.51 to 287.73 on the upside. Overall on spot, going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side today, looking for any sort of little pop and some topping to roll over. Earnings weren't bad, but obviously Street wanted more. So we'll see what happens on the open. But for now, I'll be leaning more on the bearish side. Let's take a look at Visa. $232.95. This is interesting. Okay. 232.85 pivot to the upside today. This level is able to hold. You got room towards 235.02 to 236.24. Unable to hold. Look for a pullback towards 231.23 to the 229.03 level on the downside. Overall on the Visa, going to be leaning more on the bearish neutral side today. I think we get a little bit of a pullback. If we break the pivot, pullback within this range, seems that, decent earnings, all-time high range breakout. Didn't really get too much fall through, so I'm thinking that we may get a pullback intraday because of that price action so far. We'll see. Pivot's going to be the key level to hold. Obviously, if it holds, you can get continuation higher, but that's what I'm thinking for now on that one, Visa. So that's spot, that's Visa. Let's take a look at the next two, which are AMD and PINs. Okay, so AMD, let's take a look here. Let's go with last day's low then. $88.43 guys, pivot to the upside today. Levels able to hold. They got room towards 89.47 to 90.65. Unable to hold 87.11 to the 85.18 supports on the downside. Overall, going to be leaning more on the bullish neutral side today. Looking for a continuation grind higher. If that pivot can stay intact, I think we can get a continued push only if it stays intact. But we'll see what happens, in my opinion. A little extended on the daily to the upside, but it is after earnings, so you can kind of throw that extension out the window. All right, let's take a look at pins. Okay. So pins, we got this 68.17 pivot, unable to hold. They got room towards 65.46 to the 62.18. 72.66 on the upside of the pivot holds to 76.80, 76.69 will be the next resistance above. Going to be leaning more on the bearish neutral side of pins today. It did have good earnings. They did raise guidance, but at bad action. So basically relative weakness on their earnings. So in my opinion, I think we can see it go lower if the pivot breaks. We'll see what happens. But that's what I'm thinking on pins. All right, so that is AMD and pins. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. Doing a couple fib extensions on the SPY there. 418, actually not 418. This will be the pivot right here. 417.65 will be the pivot to the upside today. This level's unable to hold. You got room towards 416.92 to 416.25. Able to hold. Oh, 416.25. Able to hold. Look for a push back towards the 418.25, top of the recent range high, as well as all-time high level. If that level breaks, we can see further continuation into the 419.08 to 419.64 on the upside. Overall on the SPY, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. I do think it will be another inside day. I think as you have these big earnings days, market just going to continue to trade inside until after they're done, I think. So that's what I'm thinking on the SPY today. Probably bullish neutral grind a little bit higher, and then I'm not sure if we'll break through the top of the range. Probably stay within the range intraday. So that's the SPY. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple 134.48. Pivot to the upside today. This level is able to hold. They got room towards 135.81 to the 137.49 spot. Unable to hold. Look for a pullback to 132.63 to 130.64 on the downside. Overall on Apple, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for continuation higher if it's able to hold that pivot point. Let's take a look at Amazon. All right, 34, 31, 35, pivot to the upside today. This level is able to hold on Amazon. We got room towards 34.55. Unable to hold, look for a pullback to 33.94.65 on the downside. Overall on Amazon, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. Looking for a continuation grind higher. These guys do report tomorrow, so just keep that in mind on Amazon. We'll probably stay decently neutral before then. Let's take a look at Netflix. All right, 507.48 on Netflix, guys. Pivot to the downside today. Levels unable to hold. They got room towards 499.18 to 492.73. Able to hold. Look for a pushback towards 515.43 to 521.97 on the upside. Overall, Netflix leaning bearish neutral, looking for a continuation pull to the downside today if it's unable to reclaim the pivot. Still think it's bearish consolidation occurring on the daily after the earnings reported, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at Facebook. A little bit of a push to the upside today. Looks like into the downtrend area. All right, so 310.18 pivot to the upside today. This level is able to be reclaimed. Room towards 314.41. Unable to hold 307.20 to 303.63 will be tested on the downside. Overall on Facebook, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. These guys do have earnings after the bell today. I think we can get a little bit of a push into them if we can get through the pivot, in my opinion. We'll see what happens, but it is looking a little bit more on the bullish side on the daily there. So that's Facebook. Let's take a look at Google, which obviously came off of earnings last night. Probably will have to do an intraday Fibonacci extension type level. Yep. All right, guys, 2385, 23 pivot. The sell was unable to hold. He got room towards 2346, 67 to 23, 2374 on the downside. Able to hold. Look for pushback to 2415 to 2434 on the upside. Overall on Google, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. Looking for a continuation higher if that pivot can hold. In my opinion, I think we can grind higher. So we'll see what happens there. That is Google. All righty, let's take a look at, because we got a little bit of time here. We'll look at the VIX, and then we'll do the, see if we got time to do the Qs. VIX, all righty. Must have forgot to save this yesterday. No matter. So 1749 pivot. This level is unable to hold. We do have room towards 1659 to the 1548 spot on the downside. Overall, sorry, able to hold. Look for pushback to 1834 to 1954. Simply just using the VIX for the direction on the SPY, just to see what it's doing, so I can give a little bit of a better sense of the direction on the market. Watch the pivot point. Obviously, that's the most important level there. All right, let's take a look at the Qs, because I do have a minute here. So Qs, a little bit of a double top, I believe. Yep. So we got a double top on the daily. Pivot is the 340.06 level. Level's unable to hold towards 337.92 to 335.46. Able to hold 342.24 to 343.65 will be tested on the upside. We'll see what happens. Pivot's unable to hold. We will get a little bit of a pullback within the range. Able to hold. I think you can get a push back to that double top area. Retest of that range to the upside. Probably leaning more on the bullish neutral side today, but again, we'll see what happens. So that's the QQQ. So that's the SPY, that's the FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. Going to go ahead, pass over to South Beach. While I type up the pre-market action plan, and I'll talk to you guys shortly. South Beach, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Morning, guys. Okay, Wednesday, hump day. Let's see what we're looking at today. All right. So right to the 10-year. Okay, 1.634. Okay, now if you look at a chart, we had a spike up late in the day yesterday. Okay, if you noticed, and with that spike up, you saw the rotation change. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, but I want to circle back to that. Okay. Let's look at the other markets as far as the bond market's concerned. Over in London, it's 0.82, which is a 0.048, which is a big move over there. Germany, 10-year is minus 0.22. Let's see when they get out of the negative zone. I'm sure it's coming, I would think, over the summer. Okay, bonds are up in France. I should say yields are up. Bond prices are down. Okay, so the bonds are up pretty much across the board. We had most of our move yesterday. I think, look at the chart and you can see. Let's see what else is going on as far as overnight, different markets. Oil is up 0.68, 48 cents, 43 cents. Copper, which has been a monster, is down 0.26, a penny. But look at that chart, complete breakout, okay, GDP growth, etc. The currency market, dollars down against North America, up against Japan, flat against China, and flat against the euro. Really very little movement in the currency markets. Bitcoin is up against, let's look at Coinbase, it's up, what, 0.5% or something? Yeah. $382.7%. So nothing major. And Ethereum is up, what, 3%? That's the one that's been moving the most. Up 91 bucks, 27.19. So that's what we got. And let's look at the foreign markets. Okay. FTSE's up 0.39. DAX is up 0.41. Over in Asia, Nikkei was up 0.21%, China up 0.4%, and Hong Kong up 0.4%. Okay, so just let me, so as far as the bonds are concerned, okay, when you see that move, you got to move. When you see yields going up, yield curve steepens, that's very good for financial institutions who borrow short and lend long. It's also good for brokerage firms. They were saying, there was an article, I think in, I think it was either in, let me see, either Bloomberg or business or what's his name, thestreet.com, saying that margin interest, people on margin is up a lot lately. Okay, so that's a huge area of earnings for some of these, for the Schwabs of the world. Okay, maybe that's why they're raising estimates. I don't know, but it's a big area for them. And as the rates go up, all of a sudden, this area that's been making no money for them because rates are zero, now they can start making some money there. So these rates are positive for a bunch of stocks and negative for a bunch of stocks. We know that they're negative, right? For companies that need to borrow a lot of money, that have high PEs, like the high PE stocks that we talk about, the Twillos, the Splunks, the Zooms, et cetera, et cetera. So we're seeing them, you know, trading a little bit lower this morning. Semis, it's not really good for them either. Good for banks, it's good for insurance stocks, stuff like that, okay? So we'll see what happens with that. So let's see what else is going on today. We got the Fed, they're speaking at 2 o'clock. So when they speak, I don't like to have very many trading positions, okay? Just in case we get a curveball. So that's how I do it. You guys can do what you want, but I reduce risk in front of a Fed statement, always, okay? And there's gonna be a Q&A afterwards, okay? What else? And you have the president speaking tonight. You saw that he is moving forward with the, what do they call it? That $1.9 trillion bill. It looks like he's passing it off as an education. I hope it is for education because I'll be all for that. And what else do we have? China. Nothing really out of China, but Phil LeBeau was talking this morning on Boeing, and he said that China, and I didn't realize this, hasn't bought an airplane from Boeing in almost 2 years, which is pretty surprising. So that's a huge market. That's probably one of the reasons Boeing's struggling at this level, okay? Gold, oil, the virus, India's a mess, and Europe is starting to get it together. The dollar we discussed. Mr. Market, let's see what we had yesterday, okay? We had EV and solar names soft, and semis were on the softer side, okay? Banks, which had that late day move, okay? You had, they did well, retail did well, E&P, big oil did well, and that was it. But look, guys, the Dow Jones moved by 3 points. The SPYs were down 0.75, okay? There is a real lack of volatility. And if you look at all the volatility indexes, we're now at or close to the volatility pre-pandemic, okay? So, you know, part of the things that makes money for a trader is range, okay? Volatility. Lack of volatility. I keep telling you guys a million times, and I hope I'm not boring you with this, but you really have to change your size with the lack of volatility, because you know that when the range is less, it's harder to make money, and you got to pick your spots. And I reduce my size drastically. I reduce how many times I'm pushing the button drastically. Okay, and you pick your spots, whether it's trading a stock like MVIS, I don't know, but you look for the stocks that have some kind of range. Spartan has been really good at finding those names, and just try not to, you know, try to avoid the names that just don't move, because it's really tough to make money. Okay, guys, so that's I'm wearing this to death, but I don't want to see you guys get back profits. And I want you to, stay profitable. And when volatility is tight, you really gotta, it's a skill not to trade or to reduce size. I mean, it's something you need to do. Okay. What else is going on today? You had Rick Reeder on TV. I tell you guys, when he speaks, you got to listen to what he says. The guy he runs, I think, asset allocation for BlackRock or something. I'm not sure what his title is, but he manages like trillions of dollars. The guy is super smart, and he's been dead on for a really long time. So when he talks, I stop what I'm doing, I put the pen down, and I listen to what he has to say. Okay. And he believes that the Fed should start to taper. Okay. Because the system is too flush with liquidity. Okay. The Fed is adding 120 billion a month. The Fed and Treasury have added $1 trillion this year. Bank accounts have swelled just this year by $800 billion. And he thinks liquidity is crazy, and he thinks the Fed should start tapering to avoid a problem later on. And he is bullish on the market. He thinks it's the best game in town, which is what we've been talking about for a long time. He thinks with returns from here could be 5 to 10% this year, which in the scheme of things of what we've been saying, is not a whole lot, but it is what it is. Okay. But he does say very clearly, equities are the best thing out there, but he sees returns to 5 to 10%. Okay. And he wants to look at free cash flow as his main indicator of what stocks to buy. Okay. And that's what he said. And like I said, when he talks, pay attention to what he says. Rick Reeder, David Tepper, these guys have been navigating the markets for a really long time and been dead on. So that's my sense on that. Okay. What else do we have? As far as earnings, when you look at research today, okay, it's really a function of these guys plugging in the numbers to their spreadsheets and talking about, the stocks that had earnings. So this morning, Google, Microsoft, Starbucks, Stryker, Texan, UPS, Visa, every guy talked about them ad nauseum. Okay. So basically, everybody likes Google. I've seen, raising targets around 2,600 to 2,800. Stock had, the quarter was lights out. Microsoft, just to surmise, everybody still likes Microsoft. A lot of guys raised their targets. I'll give you an example. UBS raised their target from 275 to 300. I mean, I could go down the list. I didn't see anybody who was, Barclays raised it to 288. I didn't see anybody who was in the least bit negative on Google, on Microsoft. Okay, everybody said, read around the buy, et cetera, so no problem there. Guys raised their target in Visa pretty much across the board as well. Raymond James raised it to 260 to give you an example. I'm trying to find some other guys, what they said. I'm grouping these together. UPS, same kind of thing. Everybody's bullish. UBS raised the target to 244 from 205. Stock's 194, so they like that. Let's see, Mizuho raised it to 275. What else do we have? Basically, everybody was Raymond James 268. You get the gist. Okay, everybody likes that one. Everybody likes Microsoft. Everybody likes Google. The lemmings, basically. Okay. So what was there anything that was a standout? Let's see. GSX call out of Goldman Sachs. They go from a sell to a buy, reduce the target from 70 to 60. Stock's 31.99. I think Twins was asking about it late in the day yesterday, right? So that was one that stood out. Mondelez, a stock that had earnings and they were good. Deutsche Bank raises the target to 70 from 67. You generally did see food stocks beat by that much, but they did. Okay, so that's one thing. Deutsche Bank is also saying pins down today is a buying opportunity. Looking for something that's special, and other than GSX on the long side, maybe this Archer Daniels Baird raises the target to 78. I believe they had numbers and they were good. Double check that. Yes, yes, and I don't know. They like it. Stock looks like it's unchanged-ish. Okay. What else? Everybody likes this MMC Marsh Mac. So Citibank raised Viacom from neutral to buy. They lower the target from 92 to 56. A lot of guys love it because it got beat up with, that hedge fund that got caught. I am long the stock, as you know. I'm sitting with it. I think it's an investment position, and it does what it does. But I think it's down with the Discovery, and we'll see. I think it's pretty cheap. I think the management's pretty good, and we'll see. Okay. I don't love the fact, I don't know how he takes the target from 92 to 56 and is not gaga over it, but he's not. He raises it to a buy, but we'll see. Okay, we'll see. Right now, Discovery's down. It's dragging it down with it, basically. All right, and that's it. On the short side, the only call that really struck my fancy was LMND. Credit Suisse initiates with a sell and a 56 target. Stock's 97 bucks. Okay. Save was downgraded on price, SAVE. Kron initiated sell, Bank America target 750. In the pot space, it looks like they had buys on CGC and Tilray. I like the management of CGC. That's all I can say. Okay. Anybody who cut his teeth at Constellation, which has been a monster, is okay in my book. And that's it on the research that I can say. Okay. Kramer wasn't so high on FUTU last night. He said the only Chinese stocks he likes is Baidu, JD, and Baba. He's been singing that tune for a really long time. Okay. And so that's that. All right. Let's see what Kathy did at ARK. She continues to buy JD. She bought 244,000 shares. She bought some SHOP. That Kasdan SPAC, CMIIU, she bought more of that. She was buying it. She stopped. She's back. CMIIU. I'll put it on the thing so in case you don't understand me. Okay, that one. That little one that SPAC SPFR, which is the SPAC out of what's his name? Sternlicht. She's buying that one. She bought some PDD. She bought some coin. And on the sell side, she's selling some big winners. Sold some Roku, sold some Square. Nothing really exciting at it, what she's doing, except maybe the JD. Okay, so that's her. What else do we have? Syndicate wise. Okay, we have two deals today. One was priced, one wasn't priced yet. FTCI was priced, Frank, Tom, Charlie, Isaac. The indication was 18 to 20 out of Barclays, and they're priced at a 13. So somebody didn't like something. Okay, and it's a some kind of solar business. Hold on. FTCI. A utility scale advanced solar tracking system. I'm not really sure what that is, but obviously people don't like it so much because they priced it way in the hole. Okay. There's 5 more IPOs coming this week and 3 secondaries, one of which is that ALDX that some of you might have been involved in yesterday. So that's it in the syndicate world. Okay. earnings wise tomorrow, you have to keep an eye on what's coming out. It's really important. Okay. But there's a lot. I think tonight is probably the biggest night. Okay. So tonight you got Apple, you got eBay, you got Facebook, Ford, Teladoc, URI, Qualcomm, MGM, a lot of names. Okay. So check your names. Don't be surprised. If you want to be in them as an investment, so be it. But don't be surprised. You're in a stock and it has earnings tonight and you didn't know. Okay. That's just lack of doing your work. Go to one of the websites and make sure that your earnings are stocks you're in don't have earnings tonight. Tomorrow morning you got Bristol, MasterCard, Royal Caribbean, Merck, who else? HGV. So a ton of names. All right. So just be careful in that front. As far as the market today, if interest rates can stay high, the 10-year yield, I should say, you'll see the wind at the back probably of financials would be my guess. Okay. That's how I'm looking at the market coming in, but I don't expect a lot of volatility. So I'm not going to, be aggressive. I'll see what happens. There's times to be aggressive and times not to be. Individual names, sure. If you see volatility, go for it. But trading, the bulk of stocks that don't have much volatility, you just got to be really careful. All right. I don't want to see you guys lose money and give back profits you made last month and the month before when volatility was hard. So just be very careful in that respect. And that's really it. Okay. So I'm out of time. I'm going to give it a Spartan. Thanks for your attention. And if I see anything interesting, I'll let you know. Spartan, it's all yours.
All right. Thanks, South Beach. All right, guys, what's going on? If you guys are new to chat, you can read that little message I wrote on the Zoom, where to find the Discord. And you guys do come in. 2 sections to always go to is that disclaimer section. Give that a read, as well as the new to chat information section. Scroll up to the top and give that a read as well. Pre-market tickers on watch. What do we got going on today, guys? This is the pre-market action plan typed up. In our opinion, what we think we should be focusing on this morning. So you can just pause it on the YouTube stream if you want to just read it, what the ideas and thoughts are on these names. Let's take a look at what the names are. And there's obviously all the charts as well, charted out that we did from the spine, the fang. All right. So a couple things that we're looking at: Shop, Microsoft, Spot, Visa, AMD, Pins. Shop earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 110.3%. Microsoft earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 90.1%. Q4 guidance slight raise. Stock was bought up into a little bit. Stock's gapping down. Spot earnings beat, EPS and revs in line. EPS beat, revs in line. Year-over-year growth 27%. Stock's gapping down. Visa earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth negative 2.1%. Stock's gapping up on that. AMD earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 92.9%. Q2 guidance raised, 2021 guidance raised, stocks gapping up. Pins earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 78.4%. Q2 guidance raised, stocks gapping down. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So first two are going to be Shop and Microsoft. So let's take a look at these two names here. Shop, 1206.37 pivot. This level is able to hold towards 1228.07 to 1248.96. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 1181.52 to 1168.38 on the downside. Overall on Shop, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher if the pivot can hold, in my opinion. 255.58 on Microsoft pivot, unable to hold, towards 252 to 247, able to hold 259.14 to 261.50 will be tested on the upside. Going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side on this one is the idea. If that pivot, our bullish neutral side is the idea if the pivot can hold, in our opinion. So let's see what happens with Microsoft on the open. Let's take a look at Spot. Let's take a look at Visa. Spot 270.60 pivot, unable to hold, towards 259.54 to 254.23. Able to hold, look for a pushback towards 280.51 and 287.73 on the upside. Overall on Spot, could be leading on the bearish neutral side, looking for a continuation lower today if that pivot's not able to stay intact is the idea there. Let's take a look at Visa 282.85, going to be That's going to be the pivot to the upside today. Levels able to hold. Room towards 235.02 to 236.24. Unable to hold 231.23 to 229.03 will be tested on the downside. Overall on Visa, going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side, in my opinion, because of the lack of range on the all-time high range breakout on decent earnings. I think that you may see it come in a little bit, but again, we'll have to watch the pivot to see what happens. Pivot's going to give you your main direction, whether it holds or not. AMD pins. Let's take a look at these two. AMD 88.43 pivot. Levels able to hold. You got room towards 89.47 and 90.65. Unable to hold. Look for a pullback to 87.11 to 85.18 on the downside. Overall on AMD, going to be leaning on the bear side, bullish neutral side today. Looking for a hold of pivot. That level can hold, my opinion. I think we can get a little bit of a grind higher. So that's what I'll be looking for today. Pins 68.17. Pivot to the upside or downside today. Unable to hold towards 65.46 to 62.18. Able to hold 72.66, 76.69. Will be tested on the upside. Some relative weakness on the, they were pretty good earnings that were released. So in my opinion, I think we can go lower if that pivot is unable to hold today. So we'll see what happens there. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. All righty. So SPY 217.65 is the pivot to the upside today. This level holds. Room higher into the 418.25 resistance. Breaks. We see the 419.08 tested. Pivot unable to hold. Room lower into the 416.92 support. Breaks. We see the 416.25 level tested. Any bullish neutral on that name. We'll see if the market can hold up. I do think we'll probably stay within the range today just because we got other big names reporting. Thinking that pretty much pin action or staying range bound until basically we get all the big earnings names out of the way this week. So it looks like it's going to be more consolidative. So that is the SPY. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple 134.48 pivot to the upside today. This level is able to hold. Room towards 135.81 to 137.52. Unable to hold 132.63 to 130.94. Will be tested on the downside. Overall on Apple, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher if the pivot is able to stay intact. Let's take a look at Amazon. Pivot to the upside 34, 31, 35. This level is able to hold. Room towards 34, 55, 62. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 33.94, 65 on the downside. Overall on Amazon, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher. Let's take a look at Netflix. Pivot to the downside today is 507.48. Unable to hold, room towards 499.18 to 492.73. Next levels of support. Able to hold a pivot. Next levels of resistance on the upside, 515.43 to 521.97 will be tested. Going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side of Netflix today. Let's take a look at Facebook. Facebook pivot is the 310.18 spot. Levels able to hold. We got room towards 314.41. Unable to hold 307.20 to 303.63 will be tested on the downside. Facebook, we do have earnings today, guys, just an FYI. So I do think we can see a little bit of a continuation to the upside and towards the earnings, in my opinion. And yeah, we'll see what happens after that. Let's take a look lastly at Google. Google 2385.23 pivot This level is able to hold towards 214.50 or 214.15.01. Next resistance on the upside, then 224.34.73. Unable to hold. Supports on the downside, 23.46.67 to 23.74 below that. Overall on Google, going to be leaning bullish neutral after the earnings. Strong beat, all-time highs. We'll see if the pivot can hold for continuation higher. My opinion, typically you get some decent continuation after an all-time high range breakout there. Alrighty. So that is the SPY, the FANG, and the individual names that we're looking at. Let's quickly look at the VIX, and then we'll go through some questions. VIX 1749, guys. Pivot downside 1659, 1548 support, 1834 resistance, then 1954 on the upside. And like always, watch the VIX for direction in the market. So that's the SPY, that's the FANG. Those are individual names that we're looking at today, guys. Going to go ahead and shut down the YouTube stream. If you have any questions, you can go to SpartanTrading.com. Thanks for joining us this morning. All right, guys. So once the YouTube stream's cut, we'll go through